us here today. We have some exciting developments we want to share with you in terms of our plans for transforming Cheyney University and preparing our students for the 21st century. In May of 2017, the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education Board approved a task force report that was to become the roadmap for Cheyney University's transformation. 8 objectives have guided that transformation. The most notable, 1, a reduced cost structure to balance expenditures with revenues. Secondly, exploring innovative ways to monetize campus assets, more specifically land and buildings, and the engagement of public partners. And third, the development of a new student enrollment recruiting approach. But before I get into the details of the changes underway, I want to address our finances. It's no secret that this university has been in distressed financial condition for years. The school ran a budget deficit of $7.4 million in fiscal 2017. This was the fiscal year prior to my appointment as Cheney's president in June of 2017. For fiscal year 2018, we trimmed the budget to $4.7 million. And I'm happy to project that the fiscal year ending June of 2019, we will have a balanced budget. In addition to all the structural changes we have made to cut $7.5 million in cost over the past year, financial support of those who believe in what we are doing is going to be essential. To ensure that, we have embarked on an aggressive fundraising campaign, which we will call Resurgence. It's led by Cheney alumni, working in conjunction with the Cheney Foundation, and it is already being received with great enthusiasm by our supporters. We take that strong support as validation for the bold steps we have taken to transform the university to meet the needs of today's world. We will be a premier educational model for academics, character, and social responsibility. This also coincides with the launch of our new website and our new brand called Cheyney Made. And this map will give you a precept as to what we're going to be talking about shortly. One way we are upgrading our scholastic achievement levels is by embarking on new partnerships. None are more important than the 2 represented here today. Epcot Crenshaw is developing a new headquarters right here on campus. Features will include research labs, greenhouses, and a new aquaponics facility. Cheyney students will get real-world experience in these facilities. Thomas Jefferson University is another partner who has joined with us. A joint research project has already begun with these individuals. Jefferson also plans to build an appropriate medical facility on Cheney's campus in the years to come. This will be aimed at giving Cheney students who have an interest in the health professions an opportunity to experience things firsthand. The excitement about the changes underway at Cheney is reflected in the incoming class for fall of 2019. Applications are up over 30% compared to this time last year. The average grade point average of those who have placed a deposit is 3.25. We project total enrollment in the next school year will be close to 700 quality students. So I've told you about our partners and how they are integrated into our curriculum and campus. Now I'm going to invite each of them to talk more about their role and commitment to Cheney. I'd like to introduce Mr. Charles Smith, Chairman and CEO of Epcot Crenshaw Corporation. Charles?
How's everybody?
Great.
Somebody say something. All right. My comments will be brief. As we have continued to demonstrate, we are behind Mr. President 100% in this university. Mr. President hit the nail on the head. This is going to be a bridge between technology and natural sciences. And the students and the faculty and all the other third parties involved will have real-world experience from start to finish. We mean from moving dirt all the way through to manufacturing of products and distributing those to our third parties. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be here. Again, my comments are going to be brief. I think it's clear what we want to accomplish, and I thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Charles. I would also like to introduce Mr. Joseph B. Hill, Senior Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer for Thomas Jefferson University and Jefferson Health System.
Good morning. And I'm going to keep my comments very brief. On behalf of Stephen Klasko, our President and CEO, we are at Thomas Jefferson University and Jefferson Health are committed to the partnership with Cheney. So far, we have a partnership where we have both faculty and students participating on various events on our Jefferson campus, and we look forward to really expanding that partnership. So over the next couple of weeks, you'll hear more about the expansion of our partnership and the things that we're going to be doing with Cheney University. But once again, we are committed to making sure that we're helping Cheney as you strive to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I wanted to draw your attention to this graphic. One of the objectives of the task force report was to monetize the campus, and we talked about building and lands. This is a schematic of the future of Cheney. A commercial development area that will include Epcot Crenshaw's headquarters, which will be a renewable energy facility, research laboratories, medical facility from Thomas Jefferson, a new aquaponics facility, additional greenhouses, which will provide real-world experience for Cheney students. Also, a new multi-purpose building that will be used not only to house our student activities, but something that our community can use as well. And finally, the future, because of our extremely excellent hotel and management, restaurant management program, the entertainment of a hotel and conference center. We are in discussions with a number of hotel chains now about the possibility of building a hotel and conference center here on Cheney's property. We're orchestrating sweeping changes at this university, and we've only just begun. Thank you for your support, and I welcome any questions you may have for me or our partners. Yes, sir.
J. Scott Smith with KYW News Radio.
Yes,
you mentioned monetization of the buildings on campus and the land and everything, and you obviously got the plan sitting in front of you, but I guess a little more detail on in terms of monetization, or what has already kind of started to go through the pipeline, what are you looking at in terms of actual money from this, and would this be a situation of there being more actual growth from this, or could it's got to make sure it's more than just names going on a building and that's it?
That's a good question. First of all, Epcot Crenshaw is going to take one of our existing buildings and create its laboratory in one of the existing buildings. That will be one of the first projects we'll have underway, so we're actually using a building that already exists. The future is that they will build a corporate headquarters here. This will give our students an opportunity to intern right on campus. So that's part of that scenario. The other is, as we look for continuing partners, and as I mentioned, Jefferson is going to evaluate what the needs of this region is before they build a facility on campus. But if you'll notice, each of the partners that we are engaging with have a direct relationship with the students here on campus. We do have a development plan to look at the whole top section of the university. We'll be looking for additional partners. All those partners will fall under the umbrella of academics, character, and social responsibility. So if you look 3 to 5 years out, there'll be a number of different organizations here because we will intentionally go after those organizations that will aid us in our workforce development needs. So they will also inform the curriculum moving forward because as we put different partners on campus, they'll have to inform the curriculum that we need to support the partnerships that we'll have. Yes, sir.
Bruce Gordon with Box 29.
Yes,
How
sir.
do these plans impact the deadline that you're facing with the New State Commission in terms of the accreditation of the university? Obviously, that could be an existential threat if that accreditation would go away.
Where I look at threats as opportunities. We have, for the second time, been granted an extension of our accreditation based on the performance of the last 2 years. The caveat on this third submission that we have to make to the Middle States is based on our financial position and basically some issues that we've got to clear up with the U.S. Department of Education. We're on track to do both of those. We are on track to balance our budget. As I said, we're going to supplement those efforts with a fundraising campaign. But we're in this for the long haul. We're not looking at getting accreditation as an option. We intend to be accredited moving forward.
And just for those of us who are not that familiar, do you believe you'll be accredited fully at the end of this year or at the end of your fiscal year? Explain
Certainly. Our presentation to the Middle States Commission will be on the 21st of November. We owe them a report on August 15 of the progress that has been made since our last appearance before the Commission in November of 2018. We had been before the Commission earlier to address a number of issues that existed at the campus, such as curriculum and things of that nature, which we've cleared up. So in our next appearance, they will look at the progress that has been made toward the outstanding issues and be prepared. I think as they mentioned last year in the report, there was a reasonable expectation that we would be able to fulfill the requirements necessary for continuing credit. We're accredited right now. We're talking about continuing that accreditation into the future. It's an 8-year accreditation.
Would you describe your accreditation currently as a provisional, though? I mean,
No.
It's not.
No.
You're fully accredited. There is no.
Cheney is fully accredited.
You're not on probation.
It is not on. It is fully accredited, and the purpose of the report in August is to assure the Commission that we're progressing the way that we have outlined to them in the day that we submitted last November. So the November 21st date will be for them to review the body of information, look at all the reports that we've submitted, the outstanding issues that we don't have to have concluded, but have a pipeline for addressing them. And then they can, at that point, make a decision on the accreditation for the next 8 years. Yes.
Hi, Sarah Hoover for WHYY.
Yes, sir.
Given, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I understand you're looking at accreditation as the only option. But I wanted to ask, given the things you guys have discussed, are these plans that would work with or without accreditation?
I think the partnerships are heavily dependent on accreditation because those partnerships are contingent upon Cheney continuing to be a degree-granting institution because those are internships that will lead to real-world experiences. That's why we are so focused on making sure that we meet the accreditation standards because the partnerships that we have already established and those that we will establish will bode well for the future Cheney. We were 182 years old last week. I want someone to be standing here 182 years from today talking about what we did in terms of the transformation.
And just one one of the conditions, can you talk a little bit about the status of the $30 million that is owed to the department?
Certainly. Upon my arrival in 2017, there had been 5 or 6 years in a row that the state system had supported a budget deficit at Cheney University, and it accumulated to a $30 million debt. One of the caveats of me coming here and agreeing to stay for 4 years, that in the first year we would demonstrate that we could take $7.5 million out of expenses. That's taken the first year into 2018, but we have done just that. The other caveats were that for the ensuing 3 years, we would balance the budget, knowing that the first year would be the most difficult because we have implemented plans for years 2 and 3 that we feel very confident will come to fruition. So this was the most challenging year, but we're meeting that challenge head on.
So there has been some talk, I guess, in Harrisburg of an additional loan that's not going to be needed this year. I guess the chairman of PIA was talking about that sometime in the last few months.
We might need additional capital in terms of cash flow, but we are identifying sources to make sure that our cash flow needs are met.
So, I mean, you may have to access some of that $10 million, I guess it was discussed?
No.
No.
It's not our intention to
That's
access.
off the table.
It's not our intention to access it at all, as a matter of
When you
fact.
say you have a cash flow issue, where would
We have other sources of gaining money that we have that we can get some cash flow money.
would this be foundation money? Would it be you going to the open market and borrowing?
We could borrow because we do have collateral that we could use to borrow if we needed to.
You don't have bonding authority, but you could put up property.
Absolutely. Sure.
Just to be clear with regard to enrollment, this year, I guess, the enrollment is 400 and change, and if I heard you correctly, you believe it would be approximately 700 next year with tougher standards. To what do you ascribe what would seem like almost a miraculous jump in enrollment, especially with tougher standards?
Well, let's address the elephant in the room, which was the reduction in the enrollment. The reduction that occurred in enrollment was planned. There were a number of things that we had to do to begin the transformation. We eliminated the football program entirely. We lost 80 students as a result of that. It was a very difficult decision, but was one of the issues that we discussed in the task force report in 2017. The other issues that we needed to address was the fact that we had been an open enrollment school for years, and we didn't even abide by our own standards. We had to bottom out. So when we brought on our new executive enrollment management, Mr. Jones, who is a seasoned enrollment expert, he put in a new process whereby we would upgrade the academic qualities of the students that we are engaging right now. That, along with the partnerships that have been announced and potential internships, et cetera, has galvanized the new interest in Cheyney, particularly in the STEM, biology, math arena. As I said, our partnerships will inform the curriculum that we have. So I think the resurgence is in that there has been a transformation in Cheyney. The qualities that we're looking for in terms of academics, character, and social responsibility are resonating well with our student population today, and they're our best ambassadors. They're going, in fact, I had probably the best compliment paid to me 2 weeks ago when one of our students said, "We feel like we're in a real college." That's a major cultural shift. So we know we're on the right track.
Just maybe you could walk us through that. The enrollment high, I saw at one time, 1,400 students. That, I don't know how many years ago that was. Walk this through, if you will. Explain to me how you've made it more exclusive and more higher academics.
The enrollment over the last probably 10, 15 years in the entire system has kind of gone down. Cheney was no exception. Needless to say, some of the issues that Cheney faced in the past, financial, cultural, academic, open enrollment, et cetera, led to a decline. What we did is when we came in, when working with the trustees, we said we're going to have to transform the trajectory of the university. That's exactly what's happening. We're in the middle of a transformation. It's not just change. It's totally redesigning the university to meet 21st century standards.
And as you stand here with the mid-states issue, and again, deadline gets used, it doesn't sound like it's a hard deadline, more like a soft deadline. Are you optimistic? And if so, how optimistic are you that you will be able to, I guess, pass muster for everything they're asking?
I'm extremely optimistic. I came out of a 40-year corporate environment where part of my role was to do turnarounds. My marching orders on 4 turnarounds that I did was make it work or shut it down. They don't need a turnaround artist to come to Cheney to shut it down. Anyone could have done that. I'm here to help with the transformation.
So it is turning around.
It's turning around.
5 years from now, with the help of the 2 institutions that you tapped here, what would be here that you would be proudest of? I mean, that you will, when kids and their parents come in and take the tour and walk around here, what will you show them and what will you tell them is going on in those 2 buildings?
I will be proudest of the opportunities that have been provided for our students, and those students will be telling the story because they will be able to exemplify the experiences that they have achieved as a result of the partnerships that we currently have and those that will evolve as we continue to grow.
And I just want to go back to maybe my original question in terms of the actual financial potential windfall could be for the university. If all this goes through, what could you project, how in terms of money could come into Cheney University within the next maybe 5 years, 10 years?
There will be a significant inflow. As I said, we're not going to depend on tuition and state appropriations for the future. In my world, we look at augmenting our financial position with creative solutions. The partnership are creative solutions to have not only an interaction with our students, but to have tenants. So we would hope that we will gain from some of the development opportunities. There will be cash flow there, and there will be long-term value in some of the leasing that we will do on property.
In terms of alumni, how the alumni you feel responded to some of the changes and the potential changes? Do you worry about there could be any pushback from some other alumni groups or current students?
I'm sorry you weren't at the at Founders Day last week. The excitement that was in Marian Anderson Auditorium for the alumni was unparalleled. I think that they were excited about what is going on. They bring an energy themselves to the university that is contagious. So their energy and enthusiasm is cascading to me, although I don't need a lot of energy. I'm pretty energetic myself. But I was encouraged by the level of engagement and the support that I'm receiving from the alumni.
Just to be clear with regard to when we talk about monetizing, obviously that's a broad term. When we talk about monetizing, for example, the Epcot Crenshaw headquarters, the multipurpose building, the hotel and conference center. Would, for example, Epcot Crenshaw, would they be leasing that building from your campus? Is that where you get the money there, as a multipurpose building? Say the township wants to hold a function there, they rent it from you, the hotel company, whatever it is, they lease or rent that from you. How does that money come to you?
Not to put words in his mouth, I'm going to let the CEO of Epcot talk about the leasing, since I'm going to be taking money from him.
So I guess the question is how do we actually do business? Is that fair?
How does Cheney University wind up with money in its pocket, which it needs from their partnership with your company?
Right, so that's how we do business. We're going to develop the space, we're going to build the space, so there'll be transactions there. But most importantly, we will actually be running a business here. This will not be purely a office building with a bunch of executives in it. We will be manufacturing food and water products and soil products and helping everyone understand what that means to a community. So because we are partners from the beginning, since nothing exists now, we will treat each other fairly. I'm not going to go into the details of that, but we will treat each other fairly.
They'll get some of the profits from your company.
It's fair.
So there will be a cost sharing or a revenue sharing issue.
That's fair.
Okay. And you hope to have a production facility here. What kind of metrics do you hope to produce here?
Well, we're still in development. We don't hope, we will have a production facility here. It will be an extension of the existing aquaponics facility designed today. So we'll have to wait for those metrics to come, but we'll get there.
You have an existing facility like this at Westchester or in Westchester or somewhere in the Suffolk County area?
Fair enough. Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions?
Question for President Walton. Now, I just wondered if you could describe sort of where the finances are right now in terms of what the actual deficit is and how you're going to close that by June?
I think that we've explained that we're running ahead of budget right now in terms of our savings and things we're doing for the year. I'm a person that likes to plan for all eventualities. So there is a possibility that we will run a deficit if we don't do some additional fundraising. So the fundraising effort is to augment the aggressive nature of our financing area right now. So we're confident that we'll be able to meet those goals.
How much would you need to raise, would you say?
I think we've put the number of $4 million out there.
$4 million you raise. And can you tell me how much you've raised so far? Or
We're just starting the campaign.
So you
And we've had some contributions that have already come in since some of the articles came out. So thank you for some of your articles. It's been helpful.
So if I understand this correctly, you've identified $7.5 million of your operating side, on your operating budget that you've cut.
We've already done that.
What are those areas? What areas do you do?
Well, one of them, unfortunately, a large portion was staffing. A lot of it was the demolition of some of the buildings that were scheduled for demolition 5 years ago that were still using resources such as gas, electric, et cetera. So there, we just looked at a myriad of things that were low-hanging fruit that would not impact the students. We eliminated football programs, so we eliminated costly things associated with NCAA and Peace Act affiliation. So there were a number of things that we looked, probably about 10 metrics that we looked at, of things that we could do on campus in a short order to begin this first year.
And that annualizes to 7.5?
That annualized to a little bit more than $7.5 million.
And just so I'm understanding, maybe I misunderstood, but I thought I heard you say that you've got a $4 million that you'll need in fundraising in order to balance
We could need up to $4 million this year
to balance the
budget for this year.
So there's no guarantee that budget is balanced at this point. It will need.
It won't be. It's not balanced until the end of the fiscal year. So we're projecting that it will be balanced by June 30th.
And that is with the help of the $4 million in fundraising or thereabouts.
Absolutely.
President Walton, can you just address what the Chancellor said at the Senate hearing about the $10 million and why that figure is not really what you need? Can you address that?
I can't address what the Chancellor said. I can address what I say. As I mentioned to you, we are working with some cash flow issues that I think have a clear pipeline to deal with. And I think he mentioned that there might be $2.5 million in addition to that, the cash flow issues that amount to the 10. I'm hedging the bet and saying it's 4 instead of 2. Mm-hmm. So I'm being a little bit more pessimistic to make sure that we've taken into consideration any contingencies that might come up.
I have a question for Thomas Jefferson, partner.
Sure.
I was just hoping you could talk a little bit more in detail. I know you guys have a research initiatives partnership now.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned building a medical building, so I was just hoping you could just talk about the planned partnership in more detail.
So the partnership really focuses on working with the Cheney students, and in hopes that we are preparing the students for our graduate school, our Sidney Kimmel Medical College, and some of our other graduate schools that we have in our Center City campus. As far as the building goes with the building a new medical facility, that is still being discussed and that's still in the works.
And in terms then of more on-campus involvement, is that something that would wait until building of the facility?
No. We're currently having some bi-directional partnerships going on now with our faculty and staff from Thomas Jefferson University coming out here, and also having faculty from Cheyney University coming to our campus on City City. They're actually participating in our Leadership Academy. We currently have faculty from Cheyney participating in our Leadership Academy. In addition to, we have currently around 7 students on our Center City campus that's doing a work-study program.
Back to questions about the building. The gentleman with Epcot said that that would be a production facility, and we can sort of grasp that. Are you talking about maybe outpatient care facility for the region or something here? Or
We're still in having discussions around what that facility would look like.
So it doesn't necessarily, I mean, you might have students in it, but it may not necessarily be a medical facility that's, retail sense of the word.
Well, as I mentioned, we're still in the process of having a discussion of what that would look like.
Question for President Walton. When I asked a moment ago about how you monetize some of these things, you mentioned the Epcot Crenshaw situation. In terms of the multipurpose building and the hotel and conference center, would both of those be a sort of, you release the space for the hotel, you rent out the multipurpose?
They would all be revenue-generating activities. All the activities, being somewhat capitalistic, all the revenue-generating activities will be maximized. So we're not going to do anything that does not result in a monetary benefit to Cheney, either currently or into the future. Yes, sir.
I just have one question, Mr. Hill. Just one other question. I wonder, is there any kind of timeline on when you might know what this kind of facility would look like, or like when you might have more details on it?
Like I said before, we're still in the midst of planning that and having those discussions with both President Walton and our internal faculty at Thomas Jefferson. So over the next couple of months, we'll have a better understanding of what that's going to look like.
We're in this for the long haul, so when we're talking things of this nature, we're talking about a 3 to 5 year life cycle, because we know things don't happen overnight. But the planning is the most important part, and then it's execution. So we're solidifying the base now with partnerships and making sure that what we'll need to build on a firm foundation exists for us. So that's just part and part of that transformation that has to exist. You've got to have a firm foundation in order to build properly.
Is it your hope and expectation that these plans, 3 to 5 years out though they may be, will help convince the accreditation folks that, hey, we're on the right path here, even if we're not exactly where we need to be in August, September, November of this year, we're clearly going in the right direction, and for that reason you ought to...
That's an excellent question. One of the issues that we've dealt with traditionally with the accrediting body is persistence, graduation, retention rates. There's no question that the steps that we have taken will improve retention, graduation, and retention rates, and we've seen that just recently in our fall of 18 class of freshmen moving into the next year. We retain 85% of them.
Compared to past years
of probably 70% and less. So we know we're on the right track. These things will be supplemental. They're not what Middle States asked for. These are things that Cheney needs to do to sustain its financial future and to ensure it. So it certainly won't hurt, because I think it will lead to the fact that we will be a stable financial organization. Okay. Another question. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we really appreciate your attendance. And we'll be around for a few more minutes if you have any other questions. And I see a number of our students cutting class. No, they're not. They don't do that. They don't do that. But they're here. I'm glad they're here. You know what? That's why we're here. It's all about students. They're the future.